Good morning, all, or afternoon, wherever you will be looking at this. But this is the SB200 Big Picture, how in 2014 the new SB200, which is Senate Bill 200, which came into law, which dictated how juveniles were dealt with in the state of Kentucky. When a youth first adjudicated on public offense, that means that they are first sent to the court process, the JSW, which is the Juvenile Service Worker, which works with the Department of Juvenile Justice. They do a risk and criminogenic needs assessment. This checks the history of a youth, how many charges they've had, types of charges, how violent they are, how aggressive they are, determines what kind of risk the kid would be. After they do this, they present it to the judge. The JSW uses this thing to determine a matrix, recommend a sentence or a disposition. So if they score high on it, it recommends that the youth should be placed within DJJ's committed DJJ and placed in one of the programs. Say a kid has a armed robbery charge with a gun. It don't go up that way. But say a kid has a theft charge, shoplifting charge, and a possession charge, but they've never had no charges before, they may just get probated. So it goes to the judicial discretion. So the judge can decide no services by DJJ and just probate them, just to oversee them, or no, just could give them a sentence, or it could be they are probated, committed, and are sentenced. They do probated means they will stay at home, but still under the supervision of JSW, which is most of our terroristic threatening kids. Last year, after the Parkland shooting, there was over 120 incidents within the state of Kentucky of juveniles making social media threats, making threats of shooting up, blowing up their school. So a lot of those kids, after that, automatically go see the judge. They get locked up. They get put in the juvenile detention center for approximately a week or two until they can have a mental health assessment and fully evaluated to make sure they are not a threat, or if they are a threat, what needs this, how deep of a threat they could be. After they're done with that, they go back to the judge, and the judge usually sentences them or probates them to DJJ for 6 months. It means DJJ monitors behavior, make sure they do not have plans to do this, and it was more of a joke or more of a stupid action when they post a threat about a school online. So the GSW completes a case management needs assessment. That's what needs to be worked with. Say a kid had a terroristic threat, and so maybe has a little bit of a weak social life, so let me set them up with some counseling in action area, be pathways, NECO, or regroup that comes in the house and monitors them. And wherever their top needs to be, whether it's academics, socialization, drug use, they'll determine what it needs to be and give them a plan for that. If they're committed to DJJ, they make this, they do all this assessment and they send it up to an office in Frankfurt that has classification specialists that review and determine where this youth should be. So say if they're a 14-year-old, if maybe had a couple charges, not serious offenses, no gun offenses, no weapon offenses, they may get sent to a group home. If it was an armed robbery, have a serious offense, they may get sentenced as a felony offender and get sent to a camp. If they're a sex offender, then that's a minimum of 3 years, and they'll get sent to one of the few. There's only certain programs that works with sex offenders. All the programs in the state of Kentucky kind of specialize in something, whether it be younger, like someone group homes, we're younger males. We have one girls facility in Moorhead. Some of the other group homes specialize in older males and get jobs or maybe graduate high school or concentrate on that or maybe in college. Some group homes just in general, some camps just deal totally with sex offenders. Some deal with public offenders. Some specialize in more kids just from Louisville. So there's a wide range of things Kentucky does with their juveniles. In contrast to like Ohio and Tennessee, Kentucky, when a kid is committed to the Department of Juvenile Justice, a packet is sent to Frankfurt, and classification specialists determine what the needs are, and find an appropriate placement for them. In Ohio, when a kid is committed to their department, GJJ, the local worker, say a worker from over here in Ironton, Orange County, Ohio, would have to find a placement for their kids. So they're going to probably looking for private child care placements, which Ohio's made up a lot of those, because their kids may not be that much of a violent offender. But most of Ohio's, their interstate juvenile prisons all handle kids from Columbus, Cincinnati, and Cleveland as the worst of the worst. And all the smaller counties like Ironton or Orange County has kids get placed in the better privatized placements. Tennessee the same way. The county is responsible for placing a kid. The DJJ has a very unique classification branch, can look and identify the special needs and put them in a program and be more where they would be more beneficial to them. If they're older and they need a program has more vocational programming like welding and advanced school, or if they're a sex offender, but more of their age of their sex offender, or if they're kind of a younger offender and need some group home, just 3 months in a group home to kind of get everything on straight and be monitored when they get done. After a kid's done, they have a treatment plan developed. Those are reviewed, and that determines what they need to work on: academic, social skills, anger management, substance abuse. And then they have a relapse prevention plan. So when they go home, they have a safety plan, what a guide to follow by and monitor by worker. And that's DJJ Big Picture. Hopefully it's kind of a clear picture. It's a very detailed system. I can send and break it down for 30 minutes, part by part, but just an overall general that we place them be placed at home. You can stay at home, which is a level 0, a level 1, which would be a foster care. Level 2 would be a private child care like Ramey Step Home or a group home. Level 3, 4, and 5 are residential programs. 3 being a minimum security residential, 4 a medium security, and 5. And Kentucky has 1 level 5 double fence razor wire prison per se down in Adair County, because yes, Kentucky does have some major offenders, murderers, rapists, some very serious offenders, and they have to go there. But I hope this answers everything. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or post on our chat board.